Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and yes, you read the title, you know exactly what it is that I'm reviewing. Something Pixar, of course. Yeah, and it's unfortunate because, yeah, I have to mention this because, when this movie was announced and when we got our first looks and got the trailers for this new upcoming Pixar film, it looked pretty interesting and something fresh and new, as Pixar would usually do, aside from doing sequels, And yeah, like the concept and where this movie was going with the storyline, it looked like it was going to be really good. And when it finally came out, well, unfortunately and sadly, it got some mixed reviews, and it was a disappointment at the box office, and especially around the time when this Pixar film came out, Pixar was kind of in a dark place, if you know exactly what I'm talking about. But with that out of the way, yes, that's right. I am reviewing Disney and Pixar's Elemental. Yes, Elemental. Boy, I gotta say, Elemental was a pretty interesting Pixar film, like, for me, because, finally getting to watch this, and, yeah, I mean, I think I was wanting to try to see it in the theaters, but never got around to it. But, of course, thanks to Disney Plus, I mean, of course, with Disney Plus and streaming, it'd be your chance to watch movies that you would not get a chance to see on the big screen in theaters. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Elemental. Yeah, because I mean, I don't think it's that bad, and I know that there's a lot of other people that didn't think that this was terrible at all. I mean, it really wasn't a huge disappointment. Not like, say, what happened with Cars 2 or Lightyear. You know what I mean? Just, yeah, nothing like that whatsoever. Even Pete Docter said something about of Elemental and what it had to offer. And I would agree with Pete Docter, and knowing Pete Docter, of course. Yeah, but anyways, as always, read the description / the story. The film journeys alongside an unlikely pair, Ember and Wade, in a city where fire, water, land, and air residents live together. The fiery young woman and the go-with-the-flow guy are about to discover something elemental, how much they actually have in common. So, first off, like what I read in the description / the story, these characters, this society, and this city that they live in, which being called Element City. Yeah, I mean, aside from the title Elemental, but the word elemental being a very important word in the movie at a certain point, and if you've seen the movie. Yeah, because just, water, fire, air, and land, because, like, with air, because of clouds, and the land, like, soil and dirt and trees, like, oh, that's so creative. And, yeah, because how, and learning about this, like, fitting in with others, how, and especially, like, how the fiery people are treated, golly, just very nice detail there, if you get what I'm saying. Yeah, okay, but the opening to the movie, because we have one of our main characters, aside from Ember and Wade, and until I get to them. Ember's parents, Bernie, voiced by Ronnie Del Carmen, yeah, and who's an employee of Pixar. And yeah, because it's just like Ratatouille and with Linguini. Just like sometimes some Pixar employees, they would sometimes get, one of the main character roles. You know what I mean? And in this case, Ronnie Del Carmen got the role of Bernie. So yeah, and Bernie's wife / Ember's mother, Cinder, being voiced by Sheila Ami. I think I got that right. Basically, like, they travel to the Element City because they left where they came from, the Fireland, that's how it's called, yeah, Fireland, whichever which, and they arrive at Element City. They don't speak English at first, but it doesn't take them long enough to start speaking English and such. They speak in their own language, and they're trying to find a place to stay in the city that they now are going to live in, finding a house that's, for rent and such, but they are turned down, I should say. Turned down. That's the word I was looking for. But they do stumble upon and find an abandoned building, and they claim it as their own. And sure enough, what happens next, they start their own business. The fireplace and such, like this like store, I want to say, and which, it was basically Bernie's dream. And not to mention, they have this blue flaming fire that's very important to them, that they took from where they came from, and, a piece of the blue flaming fires, and, they have it inside, and it's very important in the family, and so on. And they have a daughter, Ember, and as with a little montage, and as the years go by, as Ember grows a bit older, and she wants to run her father's business, and Bernie telling Ember that one day she will, and follow in her father's footsteps, and one day the place will be her own, and she'll run the place. And Ember being voiced by Lee Lewis, yeah, and I'll go ahead and talk about the animation, because the animation in Elemental, fantastic. Pixar never disappoints. They nailed it with this animation in Elemental. Like, oh my gosh, the fire people, like, oh my gosh, like, that was so cool how they, like, the fire effects and the CG done to the fire people in this movie, as well as, like, the cloud people, the ground people, and the water people as well. Just, the animation was fantastic. And the music and score by Thomas Newman, and this is his first Pixar film where it's not a Pixar film that's directed by Andrew Stanton. Because, yeah, Thomas Newman previously did the music and score in 3 Pixar films that were directed by Andrew Stanton, which, of course, being Finding Nemo, WALL-E, and Finding Dory. And it's nice to see that, him, of course, coming back doing another Pixar movie for music and score, and it's a Pixar film not directed by Andrew Stanton. And I gotta say, because Thomas Newman's music and score never disappoints, and he always brings such good emotion, and definitely for Elemental. It was great for Thomas Newman to do the music and score for this movie, definitely. And also Peter Song, the director of Elemental. He did a fantastic job directing this, and if you know who Peter Song is, he's a big member of the Pixar family. Just, yeah. He did a fantastic job directing this movie. And I was right, yeah, it's called The Fireplace, this shop that they run, and it's very important. It's, it's Ember's father's dream. It's been his dream. And one thing about Ember is, because, she's been dreaming to, run her father's fire shop, throughout most of the film, Ember has temper problems. And, especially how she handles with customers. Not well at first. Yes, and it is pretty funny. And it's nice that, yeah, Bernie is, calming and assuring her daughter and so on, yeah. And Bernie at this point, because, well, he's getting old, and, he can't really run the store that much longer. And then there's, a certain day that comes up for them called Red Dot Sale, a very special day for them in the store, and Bernie puts his daughter in charge for Red Dot Sale, and it's looking okay at first, but it doesn't go well later on. Like, just, all the stress because of all these customers and such. And she's this close to losing her temper, and then she makes her way downstairs in the basement, and she loses it. She unleashes it. But because of her temper, that caused a pipe to leak and such, water coming in. And that's when we get the introduction of Wade. And Wade being voiced by Mamoudou Athie. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his full name right. I think his last name, but yeah, you know me sometimes. Bear with me. So Wade shows up because of the leak and the water coming in, and, well, it's not a good sign, and especially, it turns out that Wade, he is a city inspector, and he works at the city hall, and he inspects the fireplace and was, making his way to report this, and, very, very soon, like, have the place be closed for good. And I gotta tell you, because Wade and Ember, they have such good personalities in this movie, and of course the voice performances that each of the two actors give to the characters, and especially Wade is such an emotional guy. Like, sometimes he cries a lot, especially his parents, his family. Wait until I get to them. So Ember chasing Wade to stop him, and they make their way to the city hall, and then, like, this one guy, I guess, that works at, like, a front desk or something, named Fern. Yeah, Fern, being voiced by Joe Pera, was just about to, send it to the boss, the city hall boss. And, Ember's trying to stop and, to explain this and so on. But, with that, and even when she loses her temper and unleashes the flames, yeah, that still nothing worked. And at first, all is doomed for Ember and the fireplace, her father's dream. I think, because even Wade trying to, help Ember on this, and also to talk with Wade's boss, Gale, and boy, like, wait until we get to Gale. And especially because, Bernie, how he feels about the water people. Yeah, because throughout most of the film, Bernie has a hatred, I guess you could say, for the water people. And when he first meets Wade, it's pretty funny, because he's getting to Wade at one point. And even when, like, they meet with Wade's boss, Gale, Wade and Ember trying to talk with Gale, well, because they're at this sports game. Basically a sports game where it's the clouds, the air people, the clouds, yeah. Pretty clever, I should say, and it's pretty funny. And one member of this game who's, trying to win, Lutz, there's a Z and not an S, being voiced by Matthew Yang Key. And he voices a couple of other characters, like Alan and Earth Pruner? Yeah, I think I got that right. And Wade just cheering on for Lutz. And Ember trying to talk with Gale at one point. And Gale being voiced by Wendy McLeodon Covey, if I'm saying that right. Yeah. And Gale, because her being a sports fan. And, later on, she turns out to be a pretty funny and nice and decent boss. Especially because after Lutz won the game and, and because of the team and such, and at one point, there's a solution, to try and figure this out because, like, of where the leak came from, because they want to figure out where the leak is and, that came through the pipes and where it's coming from. And Gale, tells them that they have until Friday to find the leak and, to save the fireplace shop. If not, then, it's going to close. And yeah, and coming back to Bernie and when he meets Wade, because Wade a couple of times sneaking in the fireplace to speak with Ember, and yeah, at one point knew it was coming because Bernie catches and sees and meets Wade for the first time, and he can clearly see that he has a badge and he's an inspector, and because Wade panicked, he said that he's a food inspector, and just like what was in the trailer, I remember this because Bernie has Wade try some food that they have, and because to see if he is a food inspector, trying to get to Wade, as I said, and having him eat and try the spicy and burning food, and if you saw that in the trailer, and of course if you've seen the movie, yeah, and come on, that was a pretty funny scene, especially because a bubble comes out of him, and like when it hits Bernie, like it pops and like screams, and all seems good for Wade because an A+ for them, they passed, and Wade does something that pisses off Bernie, just like pouring water in a cup and with the spicy food, and that just sets off Bernie, and basically he pans Wade, but it's banned. They correct him on, because there are a couple of times where they correct Bernie on some words that he says, like, it's banned, not panned. So yeah, Bernie now just has a flaming hatred for Wade. Get it? Flaming hatred? For now. Yeah, and so with him being banned from the fireplace, well, still, that's not going to stop Ember and Wade from seeing each other and trying to figure out this problem and solve the case, where this leak is coming from, and of course to save the fireplace shop. Yeah. Okay, and more on the characters. There's one character who at times tried to flirt and was interacting with Ember. I thought he was kind of going to have a big part in this movie, but not really. It really seemed like he'd be one of those characters that could like have a supporting role and maybe possibly would help Ember and Wade. And you know what? Because if he, like, his interactions with Wade and just like if he was like getting jealous and just like kind of like humorously threatening Wade, you know what I mean? And that being Claude, and Claude being voiced by Mason Wertheimer, if I'm even saying his last name right. Again, you know me sometimes. Yeah, so Claude, who is a ground person, like a tree and so on, soil, ground, that kind of stuff. Him at times flirting and interacting with Ember, trying to make an impression on her, and even like I think like asked her out on a date to like this prom or whatever it was. And in his armpits, like, because he's becoming a man, as he says, and pulled out a flower. I guess it's supposed to be like an armpit, armpit hair. Oh, that was pretty funny. Yeah. Well, I mean, for him being like a tree, like, that makes sense. I mean, heck, flowers, sometimes anything like that growing from trees. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's such a shame. Claude didn't really have that much of a big part in this, like I said, because it seemed like he would be that kind of character who would, at a certain point, help out and join our two main characters, because I've seen that kind of thing before in some animated films, and I'm sure you know exactly what it is I'm talking about. But no, for this, it was okay. This movie seemed to work fine, and with Claude not having a big part in this. But what would come next for Claude at the end of the movie, and until I get to that? Okay, so back with Wade and Ember trying to find where this leak is. They do find it, and it's like near a dock, yeah, and with sometimes a boat coming in and causing water to basically come in, and how it could lead and, cause a flood and destroy the Fire City. And yeah, that's the thing, because with the fireplace shop, well, that started building Fire City. Yeah, because as I recall, at the start of the film, when Bernie and Cinder made their way, and, you know, they moved into the Element City. There was, I think, yeah, they were the only two fire people there. But, you know, when they built and created the fireplace, well, that started drawing more fire people, and thus they had their own city. And their city was, like, kind of apart from everybody else living in Element City because, you know, they're fire people. So, yeah, for now, you know, because what would happen next at the end of the film? Because obviously, and we all would have known before seeing the movie, that there would be a happy ending and, you know, between the fire people and everybody else living in Element City. You know what I mean? So, Ember and Wade, when they find, like, where the water's coming from and, you know, which caused, you know, with the pipes and the leak and such, even, like, you know, Wade gave, like, a backstory, like, where he was right before he showed up and, you know, he and Ember first met and how he was pulled in, you know, from the water. And so they tried to block it by using, like, I want to say, like, sack bags or, you know, those kind of sack bags. But it doesn't really work out, even like when it seems like it works at first, like when they put the sack bags like there, and you know Wade was going to call in Gale and just, you know, bring in, you know, workers to take care of the rest, but there were a few times that, you know, it didn't work. Yeah. And slowly but surely, Ember and Wade start to really bond. Even like there's a montage of them hanging out some more. Even like there's a moment where we see that Ember is like stepping on these like gems or whatever, and like and it basically makes her like light green or purple, like different colors. Yeah, that's pretty cool, and a really good animation right there. Again, the animation, and I know I'm probably gonna say it again, the animation in Elemental, fantastic, and certain moments with the animation and what happens. And coming back to Ember's parents and on her mother, more on her mother, because what she does is, I guess she's like a fortune teller, I want to say. Like, I guess she can kind of see things in the future, and she's slowly but surely realizing that, you know, Ember is seeing someone, even though, you know, they're just friends at first, Ember and Wade, but as, you know, the movie proceeds, and for both of them, what would come next for both of them. And you know, because Ember and Wade get to know each other some more. Like, we learn more about their backstories, their origins. Even, like, there was one story that Ember shared with Wade. Like, you know, when she was little, she wanted to visit the Garden Central Station. Yeah, because, and because, like, at the station, she wanted to see this, like, special plant, which was, let me see. Yeah, the Vivisteria tree, if I did pronounce that word right. Yeah, and unfortunately, because when they arrived and they were about to go in, well, the guard outside of the station wouldn't let them in because, you know, they're fire people. And even, like, say, people coming out and leaving the station, they're just giving them a hard time, and a young Ember feels embarrassed and upset, and, you know, her father just, like, you know, of course, being angry about this, and, yeah. And unfortunately, later on, the station flooded, and she never got to see this special tree. Yeah, but what would happen next with, you know, at the station? And actually, because the station has to do something with the leak. I think just, yeah, kind of. Yeah, because I think, yeah, they do mention, Wade does mention, like, you know, when at one point very later on in the movie they go to the station, it is mentioned that the station does have a part of, like, the leak and such, and well, with the water and so on, you know. Okay, and to speed things up some more, like, with them trying to, like, stop and block the water coming in, and it doesn't work a couple of times, well, finally, at one point, and it seems to work at first, because Ember, being a fire person, like, she does have the capability, and for anybody who's a fire person, capability to, like, you know, seal anything where water's coming out. That's what she did. Well, she finds a way to stop the water from coming and basically, like, making glass because of her fire powers. And yeah, it works at first, and she has a really good capability of making nice things that, you know, of glass and so on. Yeah. So again, it seems to work at first, and, you know, Wade calling in Gale and sending in workers, and everything seems to go pretty well. No water is gonna come through that glass for now. I think, like, I was getting that feeling, and if you would too, like, well, it's not going to last long at a certain point. It's bound to happen. But because that, at first, it's all good, and with the glass, well, the fireplace shop is safe and sound. Nothing's going to happen to it. Even when, yeah, because it was bound to happen. Wade takes Ember to where he lives, this giant, tall apartment building where his family lives, and yeah, we get to see his family, Wade's family, that is. Brooke, his mother, being voiced by Catherine O'Hara. Yeah, good for Catherine O'Hara to be in a Pixar film. And the rest of the family members, like, Wade, of course, you know, he has his dad. He has his brother, who is a married man with a wife and 2 kids, and literally, the 2 kids' names are Marco and Paulo. Well, get it? Because, you know, when you're swimming and you're in water, oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, you know, they had to do it, right? So Pixar had to do that in the movie. Because, you know, it's funny. It's a joke. So, I mean, that's a tradition. You know, like, that's a traditional game you do, like, when you're swimming, right? So, yeah. And, yeah, because, you know, Ember, she can't really, like, touch water, and, like, she's on this, like, floaty chair. It's pretty funny. And, yeah, it's nice to see that Wade's family is a very happy, loving family, and they immediately like Ember. Ember, yeah. And then at one point they play a game, a family game. It's a crying game. Like, I guess, like, they have to say something and then they'll cry. Because, yeah, Wade being very emotional at times, like, whenever, like, at certain points he cries, well, yeah, his family too. And when it's both Wade and Ember's turn, and what Wade has to say to Ember, and for her to cry, and that's when it's starting to come to them. They're starting to fall in love, and what Wade says to Ember is very emotional, and, like, we kind of, like, go into Ember's eyes. She's having a vision, like, you know, Ember and Wade, like, touching each other finally and such, and she does cry. And yeah, she did cry. And that's when, like, when they were playing the game, Wade received a phone call from Gale that, you know, everything's good, and yeah, because the fireplace, well, nothing's gonna happen to it, and so on. So yeah, Ember had a good time, you know, spending time with, you know, Wade's family, and Brooke mentioned to Ember before Ember left that Brooke snuck and was on a phone call with a friend of hers who runs a business of glass, and because of Ember's talents with glass, and even, like, say when she repaired something at the family table, you know, Brooke told Ember that maybe that'd be a good thing for her to, you know, be considered to work because of glass and such. But, you know, the thing is, with her, you know, wanting to, you know, work and run her father's business at the fireplace. And what happens next, like, because, yeah, Ember just so much going through her head. Not to mention, her mother was on their tail because she at one point noticed that, yeah, her daughter was with a water person, and it was pretty funny. Cinder was trying to get in that apartment building, and like she was trying to get past this guard, and that was pretty funny. And eventually, you know, she gives up, and she was about to vomit, but she does follow them. And you know, you think just like, you know, she'd be just like how her father is over water people. But no, because what Cinder does next, because of her magic and, you know, seeing like in the future and such, she brings them in and seeing if, you know, they can be together, you know, by burning like candles and smoke. And it seems like they can't be together. But what Wade does next is, because he's water, reflection going through him, like lighting, you know what I mean? Like, and you've seen that with water, how like the sunlight hits the water. Oh, that was really cool. And what he does, and you know, causing a burn and like to hit straight to that one other candle, so they can be together. And Cinder was right, like they can be together. Her vision was right, but Ember, she's not sure about that. But even when, like, say, you know, they walk away and they do have a moment, like, well, and that's the thing, because the garden station, because they show up and Wade surprised Ember with that special tree, and with the help of Gale. Yeah, it's nice that Gale helped out. Yeah, because, as I mentioned, like, Gale being a very nice boss, a decent boss, and so on. And, you know, her helping Wade, you know, for Ember to see this tree, because they have to go underground, and because there's water, and she finally gets to see it. That was a very touching moment right there. And after that, and even when, like, say she's in this air bubble and the air is about to, you know, the air bubble starts to lose air, well, because, and, you know, she of course is all right at the end. And they have this moment where they finally touch. Like, she's really not sure, and she fears that she's going to just destroy Wade, you know, vaporize him, you know, however she says it. But they do touch, and yeah, they start to cuddle, and, you know, Wade said something that triggered Ember to have a flashback what her dad said to her, like, you know, lucky to have you. And that just, like, triggers Ember wanting to go back to run her father's business. Like, yeah, it just, like, she goes back to that when she should realize that, you know what she really needs is Wade, not that. But no, she just wants to do that at first. And, you know, just sadly telling Wade that it's not going to work out between them. And what happens next? Well, when she comes back to the fireplace, well, there is a retirement party happening, and because, well, you know, Bernie was now going to, you know, give Ember, you know, his business, you know, running the fireplace, and even early on, and before that whole sequence, you know, where Wade surprised Ember with that special tree that she always wanted to see, Bernie unveiled and showed Ember a sign that he made that says Ember's Place. Yeah. So with the retirement party happening, and with, you know, passing the torch to Ember, you know, she's excited to do this. And I was thinking, like, okay, well, is this gonna happen now? Like, we do see at one point that, well, the glass is starting to break. It's no longer at one point going to hold the water. But no, Wade showed up, and he kind of pulled a jerk move, I guess you could say, you know, showing up, and basically just all is revealed, all is exposed to Bernie. I mean, Cinder, because, well, I mean, she kind of knew. I mean, she knew there was a thing going on between Ember and Wade, and Bernie, of course, found out, and he then slowly but surely recognized who Wade was. He was, the food inspector that he banned. Bernie then finds out that, yeah, Ember was responsible for the water leak downstairs in the fireplace store. And yeah, just everything goes downhill. And Ember just like, golly, girl, because you're in love with Wade, but no, because like she flat out and just hurts Wade's feelings, saying, I don't love you, go away, and so on. Golly. And Bernie just like, he's upset with his daughter, and he no longer can trust her at first, and he is no longer gonna retire. He's gonna continue running that store, but still, like, he's not feeling very well, and because he really can't run that store for very long, even because it's very sad, and with that kind of stuff, being in some Pixar films and, any other animated film. But, of course, what would happen next, and obviously, yeah, the flood happens. The glass breaks, the water is making its way and going to flood Fire City and, damage and flood the fireplace. And Ember rode on a motorcycle at one point, because, yeah, there were a few times where she was riding a bike, and just to get away from all the stress and such, and she happens to, of course, see the water making its way, and she was, going back to warn them, and Wade, at one point, was going to, take a ticket and basically leave Element City, and at first, because him and his family are saying a tearful goodbye, his dad made him a painting of a lonely man, and yeah, they bawl their eyes out. But Wade happens to notice, and there's like an alarm going off, a siren, and yeah, the flood is making his way, and he knows, because yeah, Ember. And so what happens next is, yeah, the flood making its way, and Bernie and Cinder, they get away from the water, and because it starts to rise, and well, because Bernie, he can't leave that flaming blue fire in there. And that's another thing, because we learned from Bernie, right before Bernie and Cinder left where they came from, there's like this like thing that they do, the fire people do, like bowing and such, and Bernie's father did not respond to the bow and did not bow back, because how upset he was over his son, and thinking that Bernie was gonna fail and so on, and Bernie wishing that his father could see what he would do in Element City, and by creating the fireplace, and thus Fire City would happen. Yeah. So yeah, and with Ember, she goes into the store trying to retrieve the blue flaming fire, and Wade, of course, shows up, and they're just trying to get it, and Ember at one point tries to create like a glass shield to protect the blue fire, but it's not really working. And yeah, I don't think, I didn't really saw this coming at first, but basically Wade sacrifices himself when at one point they're trapped and they can't get through like a chimney. It's blocked, and yeah, Wade, he sacrifices himself to protect Ember, because how much he loves and cares for Ember. And even like Ember did apologize for all that she said, and she did finally say to Wade that I love you. And so, and again, just Wade sacrificing to save Ember and the blue fire, because he managed to save some of it in like a lantern. So yeah, it was saved, and eventually the flood stops, and the fireplace being damaged because of the flood, and yeah, Wade is gone. Like, that was a bummer. Like, I was thinking, are they really gonna kill him? But come on, they can't do that. But obviously no, because what happens next? Well, because Ember, apologizes to her father, because, she failed him, and she then comes out and says and realizes that, she never wanted, to take over her father's business and job. And she, in telling him that, how much the fireplace was his dream and so on. And Bernie assures Ember that the fireplace was not the dream. She was the dream. Yeah, because, you know what? Of course, family being more important. Yeah, that's a fact. And yeah, because Bernie, to him, his daughter was more important than, running a store. Yeah, because that's obvious. And then because of her getting emotional and, they go for a hug and, Cinder joining in as well. We do hear a bit of crying, and it's Wade's crying, because it seems as though that Wade did survive, but in order to resurrect him is by, well, just like with that family game that Wade and his family played, well, they have to do that. Ember saying something emotional, and Bernie is a bit confused, and, Cinder telling him, to say something, and, and for him to cry, and Bernie, yeah, I would say he was apologizing to Wade, and by, saying to him that he was no longer panned, and everybody corrects him, banned, and he's saying banned. Finally, he gets it right, saying it correctly, and, yeah, with all that they say to Wade, well, and with tears coming down because he's crying, well, he's back and he's all right, and thus, Wade and Ember, they're finally reunited. Not to mention, because what else Ember was saying to Wade was, she can't be in a world without him, and she wants to spend the rest of her life with him forever. And yeah, because again, he's back and everything's okay now, and they once again hug and they kiss. And it was pretty funny because we then see Cinder and Bernie, they see them kissing, and Cinder is just, and Bernie's like, ugh. Yeah, typical father, okay, I don't need to see this. And yeah, all is now okay. And now, the fire people are okay, and with, everybody else interacting with the fire people, and everybody coming to the Fire City, and, coming to the fireplace. And, with Claude, because coming back to Claude, because we see that Claude is flirting with, a girl, and, yeah, of course, they become a thing. And even say Gale and Fern, because Fern is in the same sport that she's in, which was pretty funny. Yeah. And, the fireplace is going pretty well. There are other fire people that are running that store, while Bernie is enjoying retirement, and we see Ember and Wade, well, they're no longer going to be staying in the city, because they're going to be going someplace else to shore and, to start a business. And I were to assume it's that glass business, because, what Brooks said to Ember, and at the docks, because Ember and Wade saying their goodbyes to their parents, and of course, Brooke getting emotional, and Bernie just looking, and he's like, are you sure you picked the right one, and so on, however he said it, and she was sure, of course, yeah, because knowing Wade, and yeah, and of course, very emotional for Ember, and, saying goodbye to her parents, especially her dad, and a very touching moment. She bows to her father, and of course he responds. Oh, that was great. And with her stepping on the boat, and boom, that's how the movie ends. A perfect way to end Elemental right there. And it was pretty funny, during the credits, because we see, what the characters are doing in the city, and what Ember and Wade are doing. And if you've seen Elemental, and, with the credits, yeah, that was pretty funny. Elemental, I got to say, it was a really good Pixar film. I enjoyed it. And again, it's really a shame just like how this was received at first, and with it getting so many mixed reviews. But there have been a lot of people, including me, that really have enjoyed this Pixar film. And like I said, early, like, yeah, what this movie had to offer with the storytelling, the characters, the funny and emotional moments, and the music, just everything about Elemental was fantastic. And the animation, yeah, can't forget about the animation, because fantastic. Just everything about Elemental, perfect. I'd say perfect. And I'm giving Elemental, yeah, it's on my mind. I'm giving Elemental 8 out of 10 stars. Yes, 8 out of 10 stars for Elemental. And what about you guys? What did you think of Elemental itself? Like, did any of you get to see this in theaters? Did you think it was really good too? You know, what this movie had to offer, the storytelling, just everything that I've had to say about this Pixar film. And what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. So, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Disney and Pixar's Elemental. More review videos are on the way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video /review. Take care, and peace out.